compulsive overeater, sugar addict, and controller, fixer, obsessor in recovery. Hi. Man, I'm having a hard time. My arms are not long enough. So, for me, being a compulsive overeater and sugar addict is once I start eating sugar, I can't stop. I just, very nervous right now. I want to be led by God in what I have to say here today. And I just want you to know that what you're looking at is not me and my efforts beyond taking suggestions and doing the footwork, but it's by God's power. It's the work of God. So I'm going to go more into the why rather than the what, because there's a lot of what in my life, like what I did and where I was. But just a little bit to talk about is that I was raised in a church in a Christian home, good family, but there was a history of mental health issues in my family, and there still is. And I always felt inadequate. I had low self-esteem and a lot of shame, which lately I'm just starting to realize where the shame came from. God is revealing things to me lately that is the root of shame in my life, and also the root of not enough, of not having enough love, not having enough food, not having enough possessions. And he's revealing to me lately, or actually over the past 7 or 8 days, like 2 things that woundings that he's showing me, which has been really freeing. I didn't really believe that God loved me and would provide all of my needs. And another thing that has been coming up lately is that I realized that I always looked to others to tell me what to do. I was very, very unsure of myself. So, to numb feelings of unworthiness and rejection, I would eat or overperform and try to perfect everything around me. I saw the entire world as against me, and I became really, very controlling and manipulative to make sure things turned out the way that I would help me feel safe. So most of the decisions I made in my past, until the past probably 4 or 5 years, and even now, were made out of fear of not having my needs met. I married a man who was inappropriate for me, and I had a lot of difficulty in relationships all in my 20s and 30s, which in turn led me to eat more and more as I saw food as my illusion of comfort and a solution to my problems. If I stuff my face, especially with sugar, like I don't have to blow up at everybody or feel any sort of feeling, pleasant or unpleasant. Things got really, really bad in my 30s. And I turned my back on God completely, and I was looking outside of totally not God or a higher power of any sort, and looking outside of my marriage for satisfaction and approval. And, that eventually ended my marriage. I was looking for wholeness and peace and satisfaction in other people, in food and in other people, and that just, it doesn't work. So when my marriage ended, I really started binging and relied heavily on food to comfort me, or what was an illusion of comfort. I gained a lot of weight, and I had a lot of trouble walking. I was in so much pain, and I did the coldest night of the year. I couldn't even walk 1 kilometer. It was bad, and just realized, this is not good. Something's got to change. But before that, it was when I came to the end of myself and my own solutions that I realized I didn't want to do this anymore. But I didn't know how to stop the eating. I didn't know how to stop, interfering in other people's lives, and mostly my family, to control and to make everybody else okay so that I could be okay. When I finally got to the end and I just nothing was working. Like I came back to God, and like I stepped out in faith. I didn't know how I was going to live like this new life that I was entering into, but I couldn't continue as I was. That's all I knew. So I started attending church, and I made some friends, and things still weren't right. Like I didn't recognize that I had this sugar addiction, but I knew something inside me needed to change, because the whole world can't be wrong and I'm right. like, so still having problems with relationships and with everyone and everything. Like, I realized that I could believe in God but still be miserable. And like at that time I was like, there's got to be more than this. This can't be the way it's just gonna be. Like, there's no way. I've heard so many people talking about freedom and having trust in God, and I didn't know what that was. Like, it just wasn't happening for me. It was actually when I came to an Ashes to Rubies in 2018 and started hearing stories of other people who were no longer walking in fear or having resentments in the 12-step, and that was when I was introduced to LifeLab, and so I took the LifeLab course, and we call it the Spiritual Awakening Workshop now, and it led me into this community, and I didn't even know I was doing a 12-step program. Basically, it's kind of like hidden, but you know what? It's for everybody. But what it did was it helped me identify that I did have an addiction, that I had an addiction to sugar, and that there was codependent and people pleasing and controlling and obsessing and fixing. So that helped lead me. I still didn't quite understand, but I was still in the desperate need for union with God, to know Him and to be known by Him. So I started going to Overeaters Anonymous, and entered and started working the steps and got a sponsor and, doing all the things. And it wasn't really until I got into a new relationship a couple years into recovery that my people pleasing and my desperate need to be wanted, or desperate need to get the things that I want, came to the surface, and I realized I was placing people above God. I was feared not getting my needs met, and I put that above trusting in God and His plan for my life, and that He provides all my needs. And I crashed and burned. So at that point, I was really, really desperate, and I had seen people who had what I wanted. And so I entered another 12-step way, another way of working the 12 steps that really opened my eyes to my level of powerlessness. And it showed me that I must be completely dependent on God, because I was desperate and I was living in fear. And at that time, I saw that my spiritual disciplines, my health disciplines were starting to slip, and my relationships began to become strained. I was doing life my way again, and as they say, I was resting on my laurels. So the past year of my life has been completely changed again. I'm more dependent than ever on God, and relying on that power that is only found in Him. I have a growing union with Him, and I see my fears and resentments more quickly, and I can transparently take them to God and to other people. He's really changed my heart. He's changed what I want to do, and that I really want to be in union with him, and I want to be of service to other people. And now I want and get to be in like a confessional community with others who desire the same thing, to be in complete union with him and spread the message, of this power that comes from outside myself, that comes from God, that I can't do it on my own. And so I don't regret the past. God has shown me now where he has been in all of my journey. Like, he hasn't left me and he won't leave me. But I absolutely must stay close to him. I must examine my motives. I must ask him for direction every day, for him to direct my thinking. Because out of my thinking come my actions. And my thinking is broken. I need him to continually redirect that for me. And I must continually redirect my thoughts back to him and to how he would have me be in any situation at any moment. I must be honest with how I'm feeling, honest with my spiritual and physical disciplines, praying and meditating each day, throughout the day sometimes, pausing to acknowledge my powerlessness and ask for direction. Things start to come to me quicker and more intuitively now. When I get into a negative headspace, I can now recognize it and counter the negative destructive tape that plays in my head that's really ruled my entire life. And my close personal relationships are stronger. My relationships with my family are peaceful for the most part. And my work relationships are so much better than they've ever been. Like, I can now let people be who they are. I don't need to change anybody or anything outside me to be okay on the inside. And God has brought that about and continues to bring that change on the inside of me as I surrender more and more to him. Yeah. I can now forgive. I can see that I also need to make amends for wrongs I have done. I've made amends to people where God has directed me for wrongs done in the past. And when wrongs come up, God he's quick to show me. I'm quick to see and recognize, much quicker than before. Not always right away, but like when I do something to harm myself or somebody else, and he helps me to quickly make those amends. So, I think actually that's it. Yeah, thanks.